Looks like just a pit belt high.
Good Lord, baby Jesus, Akil Baddoo, the bad man, is back in his first AB of spring training. He hits an absolute bomb and pimps it. I cannot wait to recap all of the spring training highlights from yesterday, but of course, before we do that, you guys saw the title in a shocking, perplexing, confusing move. Carlos Correa is going to the Twins on one of the richest deals in baseball history in terms of how much he's going to get paid per season. So sit tight, buckle up. It is going to be a wild ride. If this is your first time on the channel, we talk about baseball every single day, so don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Also, use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek if you're going to any spring training games or buying any regular season games anytime soon. So again, before we recap all of the best plays from yesterday, including Greg Allen getting hit by a pitch twice in one single at bat, we got to talk about these signings. First and foremost, Nick Castellanos, like I told you guys yesterday, it was all but confirmed, and now he gets 5 years, $100 million from the Philadelphia Phillies. So they are going with the hit ball, make it go boom approach. They chose him and Kyle Schwarber over Chris Bryant, and they do not care about defense whatsoever. If this was a game of MLB The Show, it would be the greatest battle royale lineup in the history of the game, with Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Hoskins, Realmuto, Gregorius. That lineup is going to rake for days. Kenley Jansen is leaving the LA Dodgers. He posted this farewell on his Instagram. If you guys don't remember, he was a catcher and the Dodgers took a chance on him and converted him into a closer, and it worked out mightily in both Kenley's and the Dodgers' favor. So he goes to the Atlanta Braves on a $16 million one-year deal. He has 350 career saves with a 2.37 ERA, a 2.13 ERA in the playoffs. So he is one of the best relief pitchers that this game has ever seen, and I hope that he takes over the closing role in Atlanta. Will Smith, he already came out and said that he's cool with it. He just wants championships and parades, so we love guys like that. Will Smith is definitely invited to all of the parties going forward. Michael Pineda, kind of like the last small move from yesterday, he is going to the Tigers on a one-year deal. He had a 3.57 ERA and a 3.82 FIP over his last 140-ish innings pitched, so he is going to be a very, very solid 4 or 5 starter behind Eduardo Rodriguez, Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal. I'm not sure where Matt Manning is going to fall, but I really like what the Tigers have done. Akil Baddoo was a fantastic pickup in the Rule 5 draft. They have yet to use Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson in the big leagues, and they signed a couple other guys like Javier Baez. So I really like what the Tigers and really what the AL Central has done over the last few years. It used to be a dumpster fire. Cleveland was dominating every single year. Now Cleveland might be the worst team. I shouldn't say the worst because the Royals still exist, but a 4th team going into 2022. Now, speaking of a team that could contend for an AL Central crown, the Minnesota Twins shocked the baseball world yesterday by signing Carlos Correa to a 3-year deal worth $105.3. That is important because 105.3 over the next 3 years is $35.1 million a season, which surpasses $35 million that the Angels gave to Anthony Rendon. So this is officially the richest contract per season ever given to an infielder, but it does come with opt-outs. And I don't know if that's to help Scott Boras, because if you guys did not know, Carlos Correa was with a different agency and then he switched to Scott Boras, and if he would have signed a multi-year contract, the former agency would have gotten the majority of the commission as opposed to Scott Boras. So to me, this might be Scott Boras looking after himself, because going to the Twins on a 3-year deal when realistically it's a 1-year deal because there are 2 opt-outs. Let's go ahead and deep dive into the signing, because that's really all of the logistics behind it. The richest contract for an infielder in terms of per season dollars, and there are 2 opt-outs both after the first and second season. So the Twins have extended Byron Buxton, they traded for Sonny Gray, and they used the Yankees to save $50 million by trading away Josh Donaldson, and in return, they were able to grab Carlos Correa and a pretty solid player in Gio Urshela and a new DH if they wanted to in Gary Sanchez. So they went out, they freed up all that money, and I guess I have to commend the Twins. I'm not sure if they're ready for a World Series, but at least they're trying. I will give them that. Let me just go ahead and say I give huge props to teams like, again, the Twins and the Rockies for going out and making trades and moves. But this makes a little bit more sense than what the Rockies did, because the Rockies don't seem to have a plan in place after they lost John Gray and Trevor Story for nothing. At least the Twins, on paper, are a much better team because they were 73 and 89 a year ago, and they're probably going to be a near playoff contender this year. But the only problem that I have is, even though they have a solid lineup of Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, Jorge Polanco, Sano, Kepler, Urshela, Kirilloff, and El Kraken, Gary Sanchez, they need pitching. Kenta Maeda is going to be out for all of 22 essentially. So you have Sonny Gray, Dylan Bundy, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, you have Randy Dobnak, and then Griffin Jax. You know what this team reminds me of? The Angels from a few years ago, who just doesn't understand that you need a better number 2 starter than Dylan Bundy. Joe Ryan, I feel like, has a high ceiling, and maybe Dylan Bundy can recapture the magic that he had in the shortened season. But for me, I think he's a little bit overrated. I just want to say, again, I tip my cap to the Rockies and the Twins for going out there and making splashes and kind of shocking the baseball community. So even though it's confusing, I do think it's entertaining, and baseball needs more entertainment. I mean, let's say that Carlos Correa would have gone to the Orioles on a $300 million deal. That would have been fun to talk about, and it's just as fun to talk about him going to the Twins, because now we have to talk about the backup options for the Yankees or the Red Sox, because apparently both of those teams are now fully engaged in Trevor's story. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you make of Carlos Correa ending his tenure with the Astros? Even last night, Martin Maldonado tweeted, "I tried." So he was really going for Carlos Correa to re-sign. Just unfortunately, Carlos wanted to be the richest infielder ever. He gets 35.1 per season with an opt-out after the first. And to me, if you're a Twins fan, I feel like you're happy with this, but also shocked and wondering, don't we have Royce Lewis coming up and he's back from injury, and we also have Austin Martin? So to me, I'm kind of on that train. I'm expecting the Twins, hear me out, I'm expecting the Twins to use Carlos Correa as trade bait as soon as June or July, because again, I don't think they're going to be a World Series contender this season or the next until they get some pitching. So to me, they utilize this contract, see if Royce Lewis can come back from injury and ball out. They have Austin Martin, and then trade Carlos Correa towards the deadline for a few stud prospects or a star pitcher, because then you can actually rebuild, call up your prospects, and at that point, they have outsmarted all of Major League Baseball by freeing up $50 million by sending Josh Donaldson to the Yankees, and then they get Gio Urshela, a pretty solid replacement. They use that freed money to sign Carlos Correa, then they flip Carlos Correa for another pitcher to be teamed up with Sonny Gray and Kenta Maeda for the 2023 season. That's big brain moves. I would honestly commend them for that. So that's why I give more props to the Twins, because it seems like they have a plan in place. The Rockies just kind of said, here's money, and they don't really have an idea of how to make the playoffs in the next few seasons. That's the only reason why I was hating on the Rockies. I actually liked Colorado. Todd Helton was my second favorite player in baseball growing up. So again, I just wanted to make sure Rockies fans know, I don't hate you. I just don't understand what the management philosophy is. That is literally it. I hope that the Rockies win a chip. I just don't think you do it with Chris Bryant at 100, whatever. So that pretty much does it for the recap of all of the signings. Now let's go ahead and talk about the best plays from yesterday. I was unable to watch all of them. I am human. I do have a life, so I couldn't watch every single spring training game. But look at Nolan Arenado proving he is one of the slickest defenders ever, especially at the hot corner. He's in the conversation with Beltre, Brooks Robinson, Matt Chapman, and of course, Manny Machado, I guess, is in that conversation as the best defensive third baseman ever. Manny, not so much, as he did not age gracefully. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa grabbed a base hit in his debut, and then later on, I just want to show this. Greg Allen got hit by a pitch twice in a single at bat. So apparently in spring training, they just don't care about the rules, and the umpire was like, hey, do you want to hit instead of going to first base? Like, do you want to work on your mechanics? And instead, he got hit a second time. Akil Baddoo with the absolute pimp job, and then Riley Green, their second best prospect after Spencer Torkelson. Baddoo and Green go back to back. And then speaking of Torkelson, he hits a double. I cannot wait to see what the Tigers lineup looks like on opening day, with Torkelson and Green going to get called up with the addition of Javier Baez. Baddoo looks like he's beefier, like he's ready for a 20 home run campaign. I'm excited about him. Now, speaking of excited, J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez with a 116 mile per hour home run. Only 5 guys over the last few years have ever been able to do that in the big leagues. Stanton, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So J-Rod is going to be a monster. Jazz Chisholm with the Euro step after pimping a long ball. That one's going to happen in just a second. Look at him pimp that home run. He's running the bases, and then there is the Euro step. This guy is crazy exciting. Now, one name that I have not brought up in quite some time, Yoenis Cespedes. He actually has a younger half-brother, Yoelki. His cards go for a crazy amount of money because not only is he a brother of Cespedes, but he's pretty solid as well as he goes yard. Very reminiscent of his brother's stance, and they almost look like the same person. So to end today's video, let's go ahead and show Francisco Lindor helping out a fan who dropped a ball and then immediately going yard a couple minutes later.